Okay, without further ado, please welcome to the stage, Garry Chalk!
The fans have been, I mean, not the fans. I'm tired. The fans have been not working very well. But all in all, apart from a few blips and bumps over the weekend, we've got that all straightened out and sorted. The concert went well last night. I'm happy to... So I'm very happy about that, and I just like to say that this whole weekend has been wonderful, and I got to say it's all because of you guys. So.
So have you done many Transformers conventions before? Then is this one notch on the bedpost, if you would, for Transformers conventions?
I think this is the biggest Transformer convention in the UK, isn't it?
It's the biggest in Europe, in fact.
In Europe?
Uh-huh.
Good Lord, it's the biggest in Europe! I know that there were people in Germany, there were people from Norway, from Estonia, from Poland, from Scotland. I mean, that was something. People came from Scotland to be here.
We can't get rid of them, we do try and keep them. We've got them in our team, you know, who organise them. We have Scots in our team who organise our whole convention. You know, we've got Turnbull. You try and dig them out, and he just flies back in again. So.
I love Scotland. I've been there, you know, many times. Love Scotland. I especially love the West Isles. Especially my favourite place in the world is an island called Arran, where I spent. The hotel was called the Apple Orchard Inn, or something like that. And I can't remember, but the woman had a fascinating affection for teddy bears and doilies. This whole place looked like a greeting card, the whole hotel, that had teddy bears and doilies on everything. You know, a little tiny teddy bear sitting on the top of your pillow. There were teddy bears under the bed. There were teddy bears on the, But it was a lovely place. The breakfast was okay. The teddy bear was a bit rough, but... Anyway, why are we here? Do you want to know about me, my career, what I've done, what I'm going to do? What my favorite food is? I don't know.
Everything, I guess, yeah. So, Garry, could you start off, if people are not familiar, by telling us, in a nutshell, how you come to be here today and so known for Transformers? So your career progression in a nutshell.
Well, a long time ago, when I was very young, I saw a play. It was The Shoemaker and the Elves. And I said I wanted to be the shoemaker. And by God, I was. And from then it moved on to the choir. And I wanted to be Don, Ron Morier's Saturday Kids Party. And I was. I sang in the choir, and I just thought, this is for me. This is what I want to do. So I tried a lot of different things, but I never thought you got paid for doing this sort of thing. I always thought that it was just something you did for fun. So I had a lot of different jobs. I've been a social worker, I was a stockbroker, I worked as a bouncer in beer parlors and nightclubs. I did all kinds of different jobs. And then I went back to university and discovered theater and got into it, and I thought, oh, I like this. This is, you know, the production values were good, the acting was amazing. And I thought, I think I could do this. And so I signed up, and I remember auditioning. We were talking about one of the guests here. We were talking about Anthony Holland, who was ran the acting program at the college that I was at, who was a British actor who came from Wales originally. And he goes, after I did my audition to get into the theater department, he goes, "Oh, you've got some talent. Not much. There's some. All right, you're in." And I got in, and I thought, oh great, so I'm going to do it. What I didn't realize is that they only take 15 students from around the world per term. And so I'm glad that I didn't know, because if I thought I was that special, then I could do no wrong. But as it turns out, I thought I sucked all the time. I was just a terrible actor. But apparently I wasn't, because they kept me into the school. And then voiceover happened, and again, it was Anthony Holland. He said to me, "Hey, can you do this voice commercial for me?" For my friend, and it was for a nursing home. And I said, "Sure, okay." And I did it. They paid me a little bit of money. And I thought, oh, I guess I can do this. And then I did a voice demo tape, and I listened to it about 5 years ago. It was my first voice demo. I don't know, have you ever been in a situation where you saw yourself in something, a picture or a movie or tape, and you were so embarrassed that you actually cringed at your own self? That you almost wanted to cry because it was so bad? Well, that was my voice demo. It was just bloody awful. And I thought, how am I going to do anything when it sounds like this? So I was doing theater, and I was in Ottawa, and there was a fellow named Chuck Rubin from a place called South Adventures in Ottawa. And they had asked me to come in and do a commercial for the Ottawa Citizen newspaper. And I just thought it was my normal stentorian self. So I'm the Ottawa Citizen for the latest in news and television and entertainment. And they didn't want that. They wanted, that breathy room, the Ottawa Citizen. The latest news, entertainment, sports, and fashion. But I didn't know that, so I got fired. Now, I've never been fired from anything. So I thought, well, this is no good. So I went to Chuck and I said, "Chuck, what's the deal?" And he said, "Well, we wanted the breathy read. You didn't give us a breathy read, so get fired." I said, "Well, can you show me what the hell the breathy read's all about?" And he goes, "Yeah." I said, "Well, if you teach me and tell me about all this stuff, make me a demo, I'll do your next commercials for free." And he said, "Deal." So he taught me about the different kinds of reads: man in the street, the corporate spokesperson, the retail ad. Remember last year when it said it wouldn't happen again, running around at the last minute looking for the right Christmas gift? Well, right now the Stallion's having a pre-Christmas sale. That's your retailer. "Hi, we're BCTEL, and we're proud of our 100-year heritage. Your corporate spokesperson." Or the man in the street. "You know what? My wife says that I don't really smell very good. But I always thought I smelled great until I smelled myself, and well, then I discovered aluminum hydroxide." That's what we call the man in the street. And then there's the public announcements. They taught me about all these different kinds of reads and about having an internal clock and pacing for commercials. So I went, this is great. And then he made my demo. Well, that demo, which cost me in kind about $350, made me about $15,000 or $20,000 in that first year. And over the years, it turned into millions. And it all started because they took a lemon and turned it into lemonade. When cartoons came around, which also happened in Ottawa, I just showed someone today my very first cartoon. It's on YouTube. It's called The Legend of Hiawatha. I went in and read for this thing at Atkinson Film Arts, where they made heavy metal and Fritz the Cat and the man who skied down Everest and all these things. And I auditioned and did 5 different characters, and they hired me, and I got cast in those characters. And so I thought, well, this is pretty interesting. did it, and then got the check, and went, oh, oh, this is what I want to do. So I moved back to Vancouver, and the animation industry was just starting to take off there. And I auditioned for a music, I think it was called Tech Force, and didn't get it. And I auditioned for another one, didn't get it. And I went, oh, what am I doing wrong? And then I did some voice matches for G.I. Joe, got that. And then Kissy got that. And He-Man got that. And started getting G.I. Joe, got that. Started getting all these commercials, all these cartoons, and before I knew it, I was doing cartoons. I'm not lying to you. I was doing cartoons 7 days a week. Every single day, different shows. And I had to keep a little tape recorder with my voices on it to keep track of who the characters were and what they sounded like. Because it was a bit crazy. But, and that's how it's been going. And the film industry was, an add-on to that, because the film industry took off about the same time. So I sort of divide my time between film and voice and television and nothing. So, or commercials. So there you go. And that's basically how I got into doing voice work. And I just discovered that I had a talent for what I got kicked out of school for. So there you go.
Amazing. So at what point during that journey did the Transformers come up? Did you get a role?
At
what point did you get a role for the Transformers?
Oh, yes.
Tell us a story about
this is interesting. This is interesting because I auditioned for the Transformers in, I think, 1990 something, 93.
Sounds about right.
Is that what's right? When did it start? The Beast
Wars? 96.
96? Okay, 96. So I had done a lot of cartoons before that, and I thought, oh, well, okay, it's just another cartoon, because I wasn't really into Transformers. I did the commercials for Transformers Generation 2, but I never really watched the cartoon because, hell, when it came out, I was 30 years old, so, I just didn't watch cartoons.
What first you watch this cartoon?
I know it sounds pathetic, but it's absolutely true. I mean, I never really watched cartoons when I was a kid. So, well, I mean, when I was 30 years old, I did when I was a kid. But I went and auditioned, and there were lots of people auditioning for all these different roles, and they narrowed it down over the couple of weeks. And then one day they brought me in. They said, "Okay, we're going to have you read Megatron." And I went, "Oh, okay." So I read for Megatron, and that was great. I didn't do the yes, but I read for that. And then they said, "Okay, now you're going to read for Optimus." And I said, "Okay." So I read for Optimus. That big more. Can you give him a little more gravitas? Yes. Can you make him a bit more fatherly? I said, yes. So I did that. And they said, okay, you're Optimus. And I went, great, okay. I'm not kidding. I really didn't care. I went, oh yeah, that's great, okay. So I'm Optimus, all right, thanks. And thankfully I didn't know that it had such a huge following. And what killed me later on is they were trying to toss me out. They didn't know who was going to do Optimus. Was it David Kaye or me? So they went back and forth and waffled back and forth. They ended up with me as Optimus and David as Megatron. Then I recorded the cartoon and it aired. I really haven't watched it. I mean, I saw the first episode because they showed it to us. But then I was invited to come to a Transformers convention in Orange County or Van Nuys in Los Angeles near Disneyland. And so I went there, and the guy who was organizing the Transformers convention, it was TF.Con, I guess. TF.Con. It's a big convention in the States. Anyway. So I went up, and there was a bunch of us went down to this convention. mentioned, and I walked in, and there were like 1,000 people, maybe, like this room, but a bit bigger, like twice as big as this room, and it was full of people. And we walked in, and the organizer goes to this table of young gals sitting over here and says, "Hey girls, this is Optimus Prime." And they all went, I don't know if you've ever seen Galaxy Quest in the movie Galaxy Quest. Remember this? and these girls started squealing like silly, and I went, "What the hell is this all about?" and then so we're all lining up, you know, in front of the stage like this, and the guy says, "Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to introduce the cast of the new Transformers, Beast Wars," and the place went absolutely insane. I mean, like crazy. For like 5 minutes, it was just non-stop, rock, 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 rock. And we were looking at each other. What's this? I had no idea, you know. And then we got on stage, and we had a thing where people were coming with their scripts, and this guy got his script chosen for us to read as a cast read for a fan script. The guy was weeping like a baby that he got his script chosen. And I thought, wow, we have a lot of responsibility now. Now we have to live up to this. But thankfully, I gotta say that most of the stuff that's in the character of Optimus Prime anyway is me. So I'm okay that way, I guess. But yeah, I remember it's a big responsibility. You have to live up to that image, because what's the worst thing is you meet your heroes and you go, "Oh, they're assholes." Yeah, I hate that. Anyway.
Amazing. So you basically, in summary, you didn't know of the gravitas of the role of Optimus Prime.
I'm telling you right now that if I knew how big this deal was of getting this part, I'd have probably screwed it up. I'd have probably went, "No, I'm going to self-destruct." Because it's like, you know, and I met a couple of people today who came to the table who were so nervous they couldn't talk, they shook, and they were just like, "Oh, I don't know what I can do to calm me down. It's okay, I'm just a human being, I'm just a guy," right? Just calm down. But I know how they feel, because if I got that weight going into that studio, I'd be just like that. I'd be like, "Okay, and then whisper and breathe too fast, and do everything wrong, and that would just be a disaster." Any questions out there?
Oh, we'll get to questions. Sorry, we'll get to questions. Otherwise, we'll spend the next half hour doing questions. I've got more questions.
Oh, you've got
sorry,
questions.
I got the mic. I take priority.
Oh, I'm sorry.
There is an order to things.
That's what you should wonder about. You've been a great host this year.
So, off the back of Beast Wars, did you get invited back for Beast Machines? Was that just part of the...
That was part of the franchise. Yeah.
Okay.
What happened is Beast Wars emerged into Beast Machines, and then Transmetals, and then it went somewhere else, and it ended after that. I think after Transmetals, and then you went to Prime, and I can't remember the other iterations.
Well, yeah, we'll get there.
Well, I don't know. If I'm out of it, I'm out of it. But yes, so yeah, we evolved with the series, and it was quite a lot of fun. It was quite a long run, and made some great pals in that studio.
Yeah. Did you? This is a question I like to ask all of us. Did you record in a group session then? Each episode? Did you do it like episode by episode, or just by scenes, or how did it work?
Well, yes, we recorded almost I would say every episode we recorded ensemble. Ensemble recording, and for those who don't know, is we all record in the same room, which requires a lot of discipline, strength of character, which a lot of us didn't have. things like, being quiet and not making any noises, not making any silly faces at people while they're doing their lines, and all the things that you're not supposed to do, but we did. I remember covering Stopping Neil with paper. Fell asleep on the set, and we just covered him with paper. It was okay, except when he started snoring. Give him a kick and wake him up. No, the thing about ensemble playing, all seriousness, the thing about ensemble playing is it's a very organic process, and what happens is you feed off all your other actors, and the more comfortable and the more open you are with all these other actors, the more real and the more definitive and the more depth the performances have. Which is why so many people resonate with the Beast Wars characters and the stories, is because they were real. They had dimension. They were real entities in an unreal world. You know, but it was real to them, and when it's real to them, it's real to you, right? And that's why you care about them. You care about them because they're real feelings, and their needs and their fears are real fears and real needs. And I think that's what makes the show so attractive and the characters so lovable or worth caring about, is because they did have that dimension of reality to the show. And I thought that was pretty fabulous.
Yeah. I think you can definitely tell when you watch it the warmth, the energy and the chemistry between different characters bouncing off each other, which you maybe don't get in particularly a lot of modern things we've heard from other guests, that these days everyone just does it in a little booth. You just beat the lines back and forth, and they just get stuck in, and I think that warmth, that chemistry really shines through in these fourth.
Well, one of the good things I got to say is that, these days with COVID, we've been doing a lot of shows, single performer in the booth, with no one else around at all, but recording separately, so it's not contaminated or whatever. And it's a good thing that most of us in the industry in Vancouver anyway have been in the industry for many years, and so we know what to expect from other performers when they do the show ensemble. So when we're sitting in the booth by ourselves, we can picture the movie in our heads and hear how the other person is going to say the line, their line, so that you can react accordingly. So what we do is we do the line 3 or 4 different ways, 3 or 4 different dynamics, in order to match with what the other person is doing. And sometimes you get the luxury of actually hearing what the other person is doing, and that's just great. It makes it so much easier. Just lately, that's what's been happening. We haven't been able to do any ensemble recording because of COVID. I'm so tired of COVID. Episode or two in Beast Wars, I understand, where you did in fact voice Megatron, you recall. So the Beast Wars cast come across the G1, as we call them now. Are they dead or in stasis? Are they in stasis? Of course. Stasis, yeah. So your voice, I believe, is used for Megatron, the original Megatron, not Beast Wars Megatron, in the episode. Oh no, you're looking so blank now. What? We did what? So Megatron becomes the good guy, and I became the bad guy? Is that what happened? You just voiced the bad guy, as well as the good guy. No, this is where I sort of navel-gazing boob. Poor Optimus sitting around chewing on bananas, staring at his navel going, what is life all about? What happened? Just what is the point? Why are we here?
you're, I think, the only actor who's played both Optimus and Megatron in the same series.
Yes.
Is that right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that's what I'm talking. That's what you're talking. Oh, yeah, I understand. Yeah. Oh.
No, someday we're all tired.
What happens when you get old? You have a hard time hearing. And it's not that much what the hearing is a comprehension, it just goes up the window. Now I know what you're talking about. I thought it was something else entirely. Hi, I'm a boob. Okay, come on now. You're a boob.
My final question on Beast Wars. When you're working in this ensemble cast, did you have any visuals to work with? Were you showing this is the animation, this is your character, or did you do it all blind?
The question is, do we have visual aids? Do we see any animation at all before we record? The answer to that question is no. We don't. We might see at one point, for pickups of lines, we might see animatics, which is a partial animation, like frames, jumpy frames, but that's about it. No, everything that we do as voiceover performers is we create the movie in our head, we create the geography with our voice, we create the physicality with our voice, the emotional stuff, it's all with our voice. And then once we get that voice performance down, and you get it by seeing the movie in your head because you don't have an animation in front of you to want to look at. They take that voice track and they animate around it. So what has to happen, as I said yesterday, what has to happen is that your physical, emotional, geographical intent has to be absolutely clear. It's like, I'll give you an example. Here's an example. You have two guys, well, take two people, just to be inclusive. Two people sitting in a jail cell. They're on a bench, side by side like this. And the cell window is up there, behind them. And they hear this noise, a lot of hammering, bang, 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 bang. And they look out and they just see the top of a pillar of wood. They don't see anything else. And one guy says to the other, or one person says to the other, what's going on out there? I think you better have a look. Wow, they're building a gallows. The what? They're building a gallows. See, that's one scenario, the sitting side. Now, the physicality, but the actual scene goes, the person saying that gets up off the bench, walks over to underneath the window, leaps up, grabs the window, pulls himself up, drops to the floor, turns to the other person, and says, they're building a gallows. And it will go like this. Hey, I wonder what they're building over there. They're building a gallows! They're building a gallows! You're filling in all those physical gaps. You're filling in the geography, the distance between the window and the man, the lift up into the window to look out, the drop to the floor. All that you do with your voice, but you're not going anywhere. So what happens in the studio? What happens in the studio is your head stays right here on the microphone, but your arms, your body, your legs are doing all this stuff to get that physicality. As long as you don't move your head, and we don't give a damn what you do with your body. Just don't move your head. And the ideal, our studio is like this, and the ideal would be like this. You put your fist in front of the microphone, tap your fist, take the fist away, and that is the ideal. And then the music stand is right here, and you flip your pages and you can read, so there's no vowels, there's no root tone, and no popping. because that's the worst thing in the world to do is, let the pea pops, Peter Piper picked a peck of peppers. But, yeah, so that's what we do, and that's just my technique. That's another thing that voiceover artists have to do. But, yeah, so to get to your original question, I do this because I'm an old guy. The difference between ensemble playing and solo playing is that unless you know what you're doing as a solo, you have to be a real professional to do solo well. Ensemble, you can work off people and have some fun, but solo, you're on your own, chum.
Amazing. Okay, I'm going to ask, we'll get to questions. We will get to questions. If you've got your hand up, we'll get there.
We're getting there.
We've still got our space. It's all right, we'll get there. My next question, because too much fun. My next question is about the Unicron trilogy. Because you voice, we'll get to this is what brought me into Transformers, because I'm a naughty kid. All that 90s stuff, I was very little. So the Unicron trilogy, Optimus Prime, is where some people, such as myself, know you from. So how did you get that role? Was that, hey, you want to do the same gig, same kind of character, no longer a monkey? Is that what happened there?
Well, got a minute?
Yeah. We'll get that.
Okay, so what happened with the Unicron trilogy? It came sometime after the Beast Wars was finished. And so I got a call that said, we want you to do the Unicron trilogy for the Transformers. I said, okay, fine. Sure, I'll come do it. And so I went in and I started reading it. I said, no, we don't want Primal. We want Prime. And I said, well, get Prime. I just said, look, I like this voice. I mean, what do you want? You want me to sound like Peter Cullen? And they said, yes. So I said, okay, I'll try and do that. But I don't have Peter Cullen's voice. But I tried to make him. I tried to make the Transformers, that Transformer Optimus Prime. Tried to make him a little bit more truck, but I still, my stupid ego tells me I've got to give him some more warmth. I've got to give him humanity. And that's what I did. And it was not well received for a start. Because, truck, not monkey. Sorry. But I still did it, and I did it like they wanted me to do. But it was totally different. The storylines were totally different because they were, you had to match the voice flaps and do all that. And it just wasn't the same as the organic process that I was used to. But I did it, and it was fine. I was, how many times would I say, come by, come by. And, yeah, so it went well. I mean, I heard good things about it. I heard bad things about it. What am I going to do? I can only do so much.
And that was the same ensemble cast. Well, not the same cast, obviously, from Beast Wars, but same kind of setup.
There were a few people who were in the cast who were from Beast Wars, but I think there maybe only one. There were two, maybe three. No, I think there might have been three from Beast Wars. I'm not sure because I never got to see who else was in it. But I think there were like three from Beast Wars who were actually in the cast of the Unicron trilogy. Not to take away from the Unicron trilogy, it was great. Armada was fun. I really enjoyed that. It was just a different experience for me to go from one Optimus to another, trying to make that adjustment, and my stupid stupid ego got in the way, and I wanted to keep it all the same, you know, because I thought mine was the best. So that just goes to show you that, but it's the arrogance of youth, you know, and the arrogance of actors sometimes, and I'll own it. I'll own my mistake, and I'll own my ego. But anyway, I don't do that anymore. Whatever someone wants me to do, and however they want me to do it, that's the way it's going to be done.
Fair enough. We like both Chuck and Monkey with us. Yeah. We like both Chuck and Monkey. Yeah, right? Yeah.
Monkey Truck. I like, what sounds better? I think Monkey Truck reminds me of a hip-hop song. Truck Monkey just doesn't scan. Monkey Truck. Sounds nice, doesn't it?
What about playing?
You can make a song out of that.
What about playing? Because Optimal Optimus had a jet mode as well.
That's right.
He did have a jet mode, correct? Right, we've got about 10 minutes left of the panel, so I will now open the floor up to questions. So a lot of questions. Yeah, go for it, Justin.
Hi. Lovely work. I wanted to ask you, based on your previous conversation about when you're in the booth by yourself, have you ever had it so wrong someone said, get out of the booth?
Have you ever been kicked out of the booth for getting it very wrong?
Never. No, in all seriousness, I have never, ever been kicked out of a booth. Ever. I have run out of a booth. One time I was recording He-Man, Masters of the Universe, and Motley Crue, you've heard of this band? Well, they were playing music in the next studio, beside us, next door, literally in the other studio, and they had these giant subwoofer speakers on the floor. And the thing is that those days we didn't have a floating floor in the studio, because usually you have a floating floor, but we didn't. So it was well insulated, but the ultra low frequency of the bass amp, that's sub-bass, goes right through the concrete of the floor and into our studio. And we could barely hear it. Like this. But nobody in the recording studio could hear it. They couldn't pick up the frequency with the microphone, because it was a sub-vocal frequency. So we found that everybody in the studio was getting irritable. And we discovered that the side effect of ultra-low frequencies is when it hits you, it makes you irritable, like nauseous. And I'm sitting there, I'm going, what the beep beep is? Beep beep! Now get out of here! Get me out of here! I'm going nuts! Get me out of here! And you know what? As soon as I left the studio and I went out onto the sidewalk, onto the road, all of a sudden I felt better. And I went, well, what the hell is this? What is going on? And the other guys are doing the same thing. And then we went back in the studio, and as soon as we went back in the studio, you got all irritable. So, yeah. So I've never been, to answer your question, I've never been kicked out of the studio.
Good point.
Try and get through as many as you can, guys. I know you've got a lot of questions. If you can keep it nice and concise, that would be great.
Hi, really enjoyed your singing on the music last night.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. I was just wondering, have you considered bringing out an album of your singing and music?
Will there be an album from me?
Yeah.
Possible. Possible. I'm looking at some of my fellow musicians. We're actually seriously talking about putting an album together to get it out there, because at 70 years old, I think it's time.
It's fine, you're ready. Great. Okay, we've got another one down here.
You recently starred in Sonic the Hedgehog and got to the 2014. What was it like to work on those films?
Go from
You recently worked on Sonic the Hedgehog and
Godzilla 2014.
Godzilla 2014. What was it like to work on those films?
oh well. First off, I don't know if you know Bryan Cranston, the guy who's in Godzilla. So I've worked with Bryan a few times, and he is a delightful, hilariously funny and talented actor. Just a wonderful guy. And we worked on Godzilla with Gareth Edwards, who directed, who was a lovely guy. This big budget movie that I hadn't worked on for a long time. And Bryan and I were working in this sewage plant. That's where the atomic energy thing was, that thing we did. And it was in the sewage plant, and we were kind of nervous because it said, there were signs all over this place. Even though you couldn't smell anything, deadly clean, he said, if you get a cut, report to first aid immediately. If you get even a scratch, report to first aid immediately. And I went, oh my God, we're walking in a petri dish, man. This is like a disease waiting to happen. He goes, no, we'll be fine. But we shot there, and I had a tremendous time. Nearly got killed by falling debris from the earthquake in the control room of the nuclear power plant. But that was fun. Sonic the Hedgehog, another one, which was just a cameo role. I had a great time because the director enjoyed my Dr. Mopatnik. And but Jim Carrey got it. Who the hell is Jim Carrey anyway? But it was a lot of fun. I mean, I just had a very small role in the movie. But it was nice to play in a live action movie as well as doing the cartoon. It was a nice transition. Yes?
Right, got here.
So, we all know about Rise of the Beast coming out and how Ron Paul is going to be taking the role of Colonel. How do you feel about that?
See, I knew this question was going to come up. I don't know, call me psychic. I just knew it was going to come up. Well, here's the deal. I was never contacted or told or asked about anything about that particular show. Ron Perlman was cast as Optimus Primal. I'm not bitter. I'm not. You can have a stupid role. Seriously, I'm kidding. I'm really kidding. I was a little upset at the fact that no one had even contacted me, but Ron Perlman is a good actor. He's a good friend, or like a good pal. I played golf with him, and I like him as a person, and I think he would do a creditable job. But I'm not going to lie, it really hurt me that I created this role, and they just give it to somebody else, and without even asking if I was available or whatever. But we have an old expression, it's called, being a Canadian, I can expect this kind of behavior. But other than that, no, more power to him. If he wants to do the show, I've moved on and doing other things. I just got another new series, so I don't care.
Go for it. We'll try to fit as many as we can.
You sound interested. If you could, would you play more roles in like the Transformers universe? Because you did sound interested if you could do Optimus Prime on Rise of the Beast.
So if you could, would you like to do more roles in the Transformers franchise? So would you like to do more Transformers if you could? If you were offered?
Would I like to do more roles in the Transformers franchise?
Yeah.
Of course. Yeah, I love the Transformers franchise. I got to tell you quite honestly, I especially love the fans. So there you go.
Okay, try and get a couple more, got one there. Sorry, I know a lot of people waiting. Asking for a quote can you do a line from Optimus Primal in Beast Wars?
From Optimus Primal in Beast Wars. Well, there's... Shut up, Rat Trap. Well, that's just right. Megatron, we don't need to do this. We've been fighting for centuries. How much longer can this go on? Maximals, maximize!
Thank you. Okay, we've got another question down here.
Hi there. Is this working? Hey, there we go. Some people here might remember you in the Energon role during the Unicron trilogy. That there was one particularly memorable scene where you, as Optimus, turned into a big giant version to fight Unicron and had you screaming for nearly 50, 60 seconds straight. I just want to first thank you for having the guts to do something so long. I just wanted to ask, is there a bit of a story about that, or any other times that you've had a particularly hard role that you've had to try and work up making an effect for it?
Oh, you mean the time my throat bled? No, it's, here's the thing. You have to train your voice, train your breathing, stay within a thing and it's not going to damage your voice, your vocal cords. And, I remember this incident of screaming, never-ending screaming all the time. And it's hard on your voice. So you have to figure out how to scream without actually screaming. And that's one thing. I remember doing King of the Orcs, or Orcs in is that Warplanes? Is that what it's called? Warhammer?
And my voice for many, many days was just like this. And I was destroying my voice, yelling at all these people all the time.
And I'll tell you, you can do that for a little while, but do it for 8 hours, do it for 6 hours, or even do it for 2 hours, and you have no voice. It's just that simple. So you've got to be very, very careful about how and what you do with your voice.
Great, thank you.
We're going to stand up for the whole time.
Yeah, we'll go there and then we'll go here. Yeah.
Hello. When you were doing Beast Wars, you've got sort of this very natural voice of Optimus Primal. When you moved to Armada, they put quite a lot of processing on that to make it sound more robotic. Did you know when you were recording that they were going to do this sort of processing, and did that affect your sort of the performance you gave?
So the question is, there's a lot of processing, or it sounds like a lot of processing, whether it was the mask as Optimus Prime in Armada. Were you aware of that? Was that done live, or was that a post-processing effect?
No, everything that you hear in front of the mouse is done post-session.
Okay, so that didn't impact, did that
We don't
affect?
No, it's all done in post. It's amazing how they do it. This amazing machine that just makes everything sound.
Does that answer your question? Did you know that was going to be happening? Did that impact how you played that role?
No, because I play the voice the same way no matter what, because when they muffle it electronically or they alter it electronically, so you just keep the same performance, and that's all. You don't try and play it as muffled or play it as slower or faster. They do it technically.
Yeah, great. Okay.
Yes.
Hello. So in the first 2 seasons of Beast Wars, there's quite a bit of time and space for all the Maximals, unless it's a 2-parter or a 3-parter episode. What do you think Optimus Primal would have been doing in his spare time in the episode?
Well, you know, the smart ass of me would say knitting. But, you know, it's an interesting question. What do superheroes or robots do with their time off? I mean, what do these monsters do when they're not out terrorizing the countryside? Do they go home and have dinner, kiss the kids, say a story, tell the wife, you know, how hard a day they had, or tell them, you know. We don't know. I would imagine Optimus Prime would be, you know, for my, you know, if I was to be actually a straight answer, I would say he'd be checking and monitoring the power levels and systems of his fellow robots because they're there, because they're his crew. He would be checking on all the parameters of the ship's operating systems to make sure everything is okay. And then he would take a well-deserved rest at a recharging station. Because, after all, they do run on energy.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, we are out of time, guys. So I know. Oh, you got the right. Got it right. One last question.
Okay. My question is about how you were talking about doing the voices in the booth with everyone else. And I know that for certain roles you have to do more than one character. What's it like having a conversation or an argument with yourself?
That's a very good question. So, this is what happened. Now, on some shows, you know, I've done where I've had 4 characters in a show or 5 characters in a show, and often 1 character, which is lovely. 2 characters is great. 3 characters is a bit of a challenge. 4 is kind of nuts. So what we would do is to have one of the other cast members read my lines, then I would read the secondary character's line. And if it was different enough that I could grab them and you know, just take like 2 or 3 episodes, then I would just go back and forth and just do my line. You know, if I use Transformers as an example, I'd say, Cheetor, man the ship. Come on, big butt. Why do I have to do that? Because it's your job. Now do it and do it now. Okay. I don't really want to. I said, do it now. All right, don't bug me. You know, it's just, you know, you can find a way, if there's a voice that's really different. I mean, if that voice is really different, you can play with it, like in Captain Nam and Nintendo. You know, excuse yourself, pig. I didn't do it. It's not my fault. Oh, yes, it is. Stop it. You're making me feel sad. You just go back and forth.
Well, thank you so much for all the performances and lines that you've given us this afternoon, as well as answers to all those great questions. A final round of applause, everybody.